Hello everyone, this is your host Francesco. Hope you're doing well today and welcome back to Cyber Mentoring Monday podcast. In today's podcast, we're going to speak with Allan. Allan is a long friend of mine, and I touched base with Allan when I was back in the day facing some challenges as a CISO, and he was quite an inspiration for me. So today we're going to touch on few elements like multi-factor authentication, how to start in cybersecurity, what part does a CISO take, and what he is as a CISO looking forward for new hire. And we're going to open the floor to the question. So I hope you enjoyed today's podcast, and welcome back to Cyber Mentoring Monday podcast. Oh, hello, do we have Allan on board?
Yes, we do.
Hello, Allan. How are you doing?
Good.
Which part of the world are you right now?
Texas at the moment.
Enjoying the sunny Texas?
I'm not so sure. I just got back from Nebraska where the weather wasn't horrible.
Well, it is better than London. It's 10 degrees outside. It's cold. We have a little bit of sun, so
Okay.
it's fine.
We're pushing 95 Fahrenheit in Texas still. So.
Oh, bloody hell. Which is 10 degrees Celsius. It's cold.
Yeah.
In this cold weather, welcome to the Mentoring Monday or Mentoring Friday podcast.
Thanks. Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
So, Allan, I think we met 2 years ago when you were growing CISO and you were mentoring a little bit me, and that's definitely a topic that I wanna explore. But what keeps you busy right now?
What keeps me busy right now? What doesn't keep me busy right now? I just finished my master's degree, so I've got that off my plate finally.
Woohoo!
So I have a master's under my belt now. Not so sure I needed it at this late stage in my career, but I wanted it and I went and got it. So now I have that.
So should I call you master or doctor?
Yeah, the PhD. That's another thought altogether. But what is keeping me busy? I'm at NTT Data Services now. I'm the delivery CISO, which means I'm the CISO not in charge of our own internal landscape, but the customer landscape, which means I'm really a CISO with a very, very, very large estate that I'm managing, which is fun, but also has me traveling a lot and has me working various crazy hours because I've got clients all over the globe. So, it's a very, very global job, but having fun with it, having a lot of fun.
And for everybody that doesn't know me, I'm Francesco Cipollone, head of NSC 42, currently heading up HSBC, security and strategy and architecture, and who knows what next. And host of your Mentoring Monday. So welcome. So shall we do the 10-second suggestion? And considering it's a cyber awareness month, I think we're just closing off the first week of security at home. You want to give an advice?
Yeah, I think my 10-second advice for Cybersecurity Awareness Month is cybersecurity awareness is important to all of us. Cybersecurity is important to all of us. The responsibility and the ownership are on far more than just us security practitioners. If there's one thing you can do for Awareness Month, if it's drive ownership, drive ownership into the hands of everyone else in your organization, everyone else in your personal lives, teach them that, hey, you're responsible for most of this, not me. And not the other security professionals. You really need to get the ownership there and giving people personal stories, walking them through real stories from the real world of, hey, this person didn't do X and bad thing Y happened, making it personal and making it owned by the personalities in your lives. I think that's probably my 10-second tip.
That's great. Actually, that leads straight into one of my questions is how, for example, we were sponsoring with Tanya and a few other guys of how do we make multi-factor more available for everybody, and I think everybody in this month is making a good example. So I think Electronic Arts is giving 1 month for free of games if you enable multi-factor on your account, and that's a great way to incentivize people on doing security.
That is fantastic.
As you were saying, Allan, how do we make the customer asking for security things? Because if all your customer is going to ask you for a security feature, what are you going to do? You're going to just turn to the board. It's like, I guess we need to enable that feature.
Right. Right. So I'm looking at my phone right now and I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 2FA applications on my phone. So,
But we're
and
security people.
right.
That doesn't count.
To be
We're
fair,
not
one of
common
them is
folk.
Google, and Google has more than one entity in it, right? I've got like 3 or 4 different entities using the same Google Authenticator. But I think maybe, I think EA is doing a great thing. Encourage people, incentivize people to use it. It saves everybody hassle, right? I think EA probably takes a lot of support calls from a lot of frustrated gamers that had their whole account jacked and now they can't even log into their own stuff, and EA's got to do the tracing and tracking and verify, yes, it's really you and the other guy really isn't you, and it saves the company a huge burden, not just the individual, to have that kind of MFA. But I would suggest that getting ourselves towards a more uniform MFA and not having to have the 7 apps, one of which is running 3 sub apps, maybe that's a good start. Is let's come up with a universal open source 2FA standard for the phones, right? And don't forget all the MFA that's happening via text messaging to my phone as well. That's probably another 14 accounts.
So that's another interesting question, because we demise the 2-factor authentication via SMS because it's unsafe, because it's really easy to clone an SMS or a SIM, or do we keep on pushing because that's still MFA, that's still better than nothing?
It's better than nothing, but I would argue that application-based, the RSA style algorithm, punch in the magic code that expires in 60 seconds. I think that's preferred, and I think encouraging all the entities in your life to go to something beyond SMS is really good. I've noticed too that usually the entities that only offer SMS as opposed to an application also tend to make an actual phone call. There's a variety of things. They'll dial your phone and you can punch in codes. So it's not the best, but it's certainly better than nothing.
So shall we just push for more MFA for everything, and then the market is going to drive for standardization? Honestly, it's like people is going to start complaining, why do I need 5 apps for the same thing? Why do I need five apps for my 5 banks? Why can't I achieve one?
Yeah, exactly.
And actually, I was having a conversation with my mom. It's like, my mom was asking, why do I need all this security? And she's right. It's like, let's try to make it as frictionless as possible. At the moment, security and banking is still scrambling and trying to figure out a way to actually make security better for individual. Shall we do that by regulation? Shall we do that by adoption? I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, not getting into the debates of free market versus regulation and all of that, like ignore all the politics and put all that aside. At the end of the day, consumer pressure is real. If you go to your bank and say, hey, you guys are insufficient, I'm closing my account and I'm going to the bank down the street who has real security, that speaks volumes.
And I guess you in your new role can really feel that. It's like you customer facing all the time.
Yep.
So that's an interesting role, because I think I want to cover that, because we cover diversity, we cover mentorship, we cover the other topics. I think it's the customer CISO or the customer facing CISO is a new function right now. We used to have professional service, but I rarely saw a customer CISO or customer facing CISO. So what's your suggestion? What you saw both aspects of a CISO. So what will be the difference between the two CISOs?
Yeah, I've bounced back and forth across that line my whole career. And I started as a CISO for a telecommunications company, my first CISO job.
Yeah.
And we were a vendor, but we were a telecommunications vendor. But what we found was that security mattered greatly to our clients, and I was oftentimes called upon to speak to what is our security posture. I ran not just the internal enterprise security, but I also ran the product security program. In fact, I built the product security program there. And so I found myself in front of customers speaking to the security that I had, what I'd built, where I was headed, what was next, roadmaps, etc. And it really resonated. The customers really appreciated it. So it became a natural extension for me to become a customer-facing CISO in terms of product and services in the security space. So it was a natural transition for me. And at the end of the day, the skill set is still the same. At the end of the day, I'm still here to secure things and roll things out and speak to standards and technologies and all these good things. And there's also, I guess, sort of the client-facing piece of it that's a separate skill set you develop over time.
Yeah.
Joe Average CISO isn't necessarily the best guy to drag in front of customers. But just like some of your best engineers are not always the best guys to drag in front of the customers, right?
No.
It's a different skill set in its own right. But I think if you've made it to the rank of CISO, you've probably developed some good interpersonal skills. You've developed relationship building skills. You know more about the business in general. You know more about how to interface with other departments and other departments' needs. And so translating all that to that client perspective isn't a real big leap.
But that's actually an interesting topic. So I keep on banging the drum that we need more speaking engagement at CISO. We need more face-to-face. We need more marketing skills, sales skills, communication skills overall. And I haven't seen a lot of master program. I mean, you just came out from your master. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But have you seen a lot of stress on that side? So what's your point of view?
A good master's program that's offering some of those soft skills as well as the technical skills. It's almost a hybrid degree, and I've seen hybrid degree programs out there where you mix the technology with essentially an MBA type program, and you smash the two together, and it's kind of a 50-50. I think that's a great place to start. I don't know that those programs are emphasizing the soft skills as much as they could, because usually when you bring those two realms together, you're focused more on the finance and the those aspects of MBA, accounting and finance aspects. But I think those soft skills are there, and leadership skills need to be taught. My undergraduate degree is actually in liberal arts. But I did a custom program where you got to focus on what you wanted to do throughout the program. Every single class in that undergraduate program that offered an opportunity to write a paper, to do a dissertation type activity. Every one of those I chose leadership as my topic, and so I went through a rather extensive leadership self-imposed leadership training. In my undergraduate career, I probably read 14 or 15 books cover to cover that were all on leadership, and I think there's value there. I think the soft skills definitely are underemphasized in our field. I think liberal arts has a lot more value that it brings to the table than people realize. And I think leadership and soft skills are things that can definitely be learned and trained and built up just like any other skill. People argue that leaders are, born, not made. And
no,
I think it's true that some people have a natural head start. But I believe everybody can master the skills and further their leadership skills and get to a better place than where they started if they don't consciously apply themselves.
I agree. And even before leadership, it's just communication, just base communication, human to human. I mean, I'm dealing right now with an organization that's spread across 64 countries, different culture, different language, different things. And we even face challenge on speaking 2 tables down the road. So I guess we're techie and we forget that communication is just, we're still a human being that need to talk to another human being. And 90% of the stuff that I do nowadays is selling and talking to people and just convincing this is actually the right thing to do. And that's just not even technical. It's just basic selling skills and basic human skill, how to deal with people.
Right.
And I think we must. I mean, in all my careers, in all my educational careers, I haven't touched this up until the late in my days, and I learned in the hard way. So learn on the job. And just recently, I mean, I joined Toastmaster, did public speaking, I ranked up in that, and that helped massively because helped to relate with human being.
Yep. Yeah. Now that I'm done with the master's degree. Yeah, now that I'm done with the master's degree, I'm actually looking at Toastmasters. There was unfortunately I had to travel this week on the day that they came through my company. There was actually signs around the break room of, hey, Toastmasters is coming. You can come in. I wanted to meet with these guys and maybe join. So I'm definitely looking at that. I think everybody can improve their skills. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm a podcaster. I do public speaking a lot. I still think I can improve.
Yeah, no, I think, and the nice part of public speaking is that you constantly learn. There is something that when you record yourself, you look yourself, is always a new thing that you're gonna hit. You're gonna hit different people. I mean, I speak in Europe, I speak in US. It's completely. I mean, it's so exciting for me. It's like it's outside the technology. I mean, for me, it's fascinating the human aspect of it, but because technology is easy. Technology is the easy part of my job.
Right. It's funny, when you talk about getting a liberal arts degree versus getting, say, a computer science degree. Early on, I made the decision to embrace liberal arts. And the reason was liberal arts teaches you how to learn. Liberal arts teaches you how to think. Liberal arts teaches you that you can have multiple models of thinking and that those models may conflict and that you have to learn to resolve those those conflicting moments between those models. Versus getting a computer science degree is strictly vocational. It's stuff that you could learn yourself in your basement, just hacking away. Buy a book, teach yourself, start writing code. The hard skills, the technical skills can always be learned, through any number of means. But I think a good solid learning foundation and how to learn foundation is probably a stronger necessity that you can't necessarily self-teach as well.
But we have a shortage of skills. So whenever I'm hiring, I just see in the hiring space that people are searching for unicorn, just coming straight out of university. So we have to recognize that we need to have people switched on and landing on the job and just doing stuff. There is so much shortage that even for small organizations, they don't have the time to train people or to grow up people. I mean, from my personal perspective, I mentor. This podcast is one of the element of the mentoring thing. I mentor new graduates at work and stuff like that. But if you have an organization that can support this, like my clients, that's fine. But small organizations need people to just land on the job and just do the job.
Yep.
So, I mean, STEM and all the technical field teach you how to think logically, I guess. And as you said, you can always learn that, but it's actually hard to unlearn that, I find out.
Yeah. And logical thinking is a must. Don't get me wrong. Logical thinking is key. And I think I sort of came out of the chute with a more left-brained approach towards life and having that logical thinking. So for me, all that stuff I said about liberal arts was about strengthening my weaker side as opposed to doubling down on where I was already strong. And in the philosophy world, I took symbolic logic. I took some logic classes out of the philosophy camp too, which I thought was a lovely fusion of the two worlds, left and right brain coming together. But logical thinking and critical thinking are key. Passion is key. Desire to learn and curiosity are key. Everything else can be taught, right?
Yeah. You can learn anything that you want. Ultimately, it's which one. I think we are who we are because of the choices we make. Like it's like if I choose a liberal art instead of a technical, I will be more. And my brain, for me, is like I was more creative rather than more logical. So I decided to do a more logical training to teach me to think in scheme and to think logically. So as you said, it would have been pointless for me to doubling down on something that would have been my strength. So I doubled down on my weakness rather than the technical.
Yep.
Hello again. And so we discussed the role of gaming and other insightful things with Allan, like master and so on. And this is all for the first part. In the second part, we're going to explore a little bit more about the gaming part, the hiring part, and how it's important, really, an MBA in your career in cybersecurity. So I hope you've enjoyed this and you're going to listen to the second part. I wish you a great day or a great evening, regardless of where you are. This is Francesco Cipollone, your host. Goodbye. Stay safe.